Well, welcome everybody to this week's edition of the Management Prescriptions. You know, a lot of people have a real problem in trying to separate the difference between leaders and managers. In fact, even some colleagues of mine keep telling me, why don't you focus on leadership? Well, I have to tell you, leadership is a totally different concept, and I truly believe that while leaders can be taught, a lot of them have a lot of things inside of them that make them leaders. The other thing that I know is that organizations only have room for one leader. And if there's only room for one, then we're going to really have a problem if we try to create everybody into a leader. I'm really more interested in creating great managers. So let me show you, at least from my perspective, the difference between a leader and managers and why the management role is so important. Many of you know that I actually did about 15 years in the United States Navy, and my first duty station was over in Australia. One of the things I found fascinating was how sheep herders herded sheep. So I'm going to draw this for you and kind of tell you what I'm looking at when it comes to leaders and managers. First of all, there was the leader. The leader happened to be the farmer who would sit up here on horseback, and the goal was to get the sheep over to the sheep shearing station. Now, sheep, I don't know if you know this, they're not very bright. So sheep are all over the place, getting all nice and hairy, and the job of that farmer was to get them to the shearing station. Now, as you might imagine, it would probably be quite a challenge to get them there, everybody working together. To help in that effort, what these farmers would do is they would have some very highly trained sheepdogs. Now, the job of the sheepdogs was to actually run circles around the pack. And when it would do this, it would actually keep the sheep together, but also keep them moving in the right direction that this farmer wanted to take them. So the dogs would kind of run this circle. They'd run around, they'd bark at the sheep, and you know, they would never bite him. If a dog ever bit a sheep, the dog would be probably shot on sight. So the dogs would keep them moving together, but also, most importantly, keep them moving in that strategic direction which the farmer had determined actually had to be. And so for our purposes, it's going this way. So in my model, I'm going to suggest that leaders are probably like this character right here. Now, you can't have 3 or 4 leaders all go in different directions. You do that, you're going to have total chaos. So one leader, one organization, one leader. This is the leader's job, to think strategically, to think visionary, long-term. What do the managers do? Well, the managers make it happen. And the managers, if they're trained well, can keep people working together and moving in the right direction. Let me tell you what it looks like in most organizations. You have a similar model, but in this case, we've got leader up here. We've got sheep all over the place here. And then, sadly, this is what you typically have. You've got managers who are kind of doing their own thing. They're running around. You might have 2 of them over here fighting with each other. Then you have a couple wanting to go off this direction, people wanting to go here. Worse, you have managers snapping and biting at the sheep. So this is a model of how many organizations actually function. The question for a leader, and I'm talking to CEOs right now, are your managers doing what they're supposed to be doing? Are they actually listening to your vision, and are they making sure that people are getting it done? If you don't know what your managers are doing, you might want to take a little time and check it out and see. For my managers, if you don't know what your role is, you might want to clarify that. If you find that you're not able to do some of those functions of a manager, you might need some training and some coaching. Of course, that's where I come in because that's what I do. So this week, CEOs number 1, think about what your organization does and where you need to take people, and then find out if your managers are doing it. Managers, if you are having trouble doing all this, keeping people together and moving them forward, or you find yourself drawn into conflicts down here, or you want to do your own thing over here, or you've got some people here you're fighting with, or worse, you have attitude problems and temper problems dealing with your sheep, you might need some help. Check me out online, folks, at managementfoundry.com, or of course you can go to themanagementrx.com to get regular tips on my blog. That's all there is for this week. Next week we'll talk a little bit more on the manager's role. Have a great week, and I'll see you soon.